Just last week, Trump fired the heads of the Transportation Security Administration and Coast Guard, and he also eliminated all the members of a key aviation security advisory group.
Sunny Hostin had built a reputation for speaking her mind with precision, boldness, and an unwavering commitment to accountability. When she turned her focus toward President Donald Trump after his turbulent return to office for a second term, the political atmosphere was already tense, and her words landed like a strike that resonated across media landscapes. Having defeated Kamala Harris in the election, Trump entered his renewed presidency with a divisive cloud surrounding him, and Hostin seized on those early months to deliver a blistering dismantling of his leadership, character, and personal choices. Her criticisms were not just casual observations, but deeply analytical dissections of how the administration was unraveling at a critical juncture, and how the president's behavior in both political and personal spheres added to the instability. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. The power of Hostin's remarks stemmed from the fact that she did not hold back in tying together the personal scandals with the failures in governance. She cast Trump as a figure unable to separate his private indiscretions from his public role, creating a portrait of a leader undermined not only by policy blunders, but also by his own inability to uphold the image of loyalty and responsibility that the office demands. In those first few months, the nation expected decisive leadership, yet what unfolded instead were reports of chaotic decision-making, poor communication with allies, mounting criticism from within his own party, and whispers of ongoing personal controversies that suggested fractures in the first family itself. Hostin channeled the frustrations of many by zeroing in on how these elements converged into a picture of dysfunction. Her takedown was grounded in the symbolic weight of a president accused of infidelity while simultaneously navigating a fragile political environment. The allegations of multiple secret affairs were not simply about tabloid drama. Hostin presented them as an extension of Trump's broader disregard for transparency and truth. She illustrated how the trust deficit in his marriage mirrored the growing trust deficit between his administration and the American people. To her, the private betrayals underscored the public betrayals. Campaign promises that fizzled, executive orders that stirred chaos rather than order, and a tone of leadership that relied more on bluster than substance. Hostin's critique stood out because it combined the moral with the practical. She argued, in essence, that a leader embroiled in personal duplicity cannot inspire confidence in national and international arenas. As the president stumbled through confrontations with global allies and domestic opposition, his credibility was already fragile. Adding accusations of secret affairs only made him appear even less grounded. For Hostin, the issue was not just about what occurred behind closed doors, but about the ripple effects such behavior had on governance itself. Each accusation chipped away at the dignity of the presidency, and she highlighted how that erosion weakened the country's ability to command respect on the world stage. The first few months of Trump's second term carried with them heightened expectations. Having already served one presidency marked by controversy and volatility, his second victory was supposed to provide him a chance to reset, to prove that he could govern with more steadiness and foresight. Instead, Hostin painted a picture of a leader repeating old patterns, doubling down on divisive rhetoric, and entangling himself in distractions. Her observations captured a sense of déjà vu for many Americans who remembered the tumult of his first term, yet now felt an even greater weight, because the electorate had just witnessed years of chaos and still entrusted him with another opportunity. For Hostin, that second chance squandered so early signaled not just failure, but a betrayal of the democratic process itself. What gave her words extra force was the way she dissected Trump's relationship with Melania, placing it in the larger narrative of loyalty and accountability. Melania had always been a somewhat enigmatic first lady, often appearing distant from her husband's theatrics. The accusations of multiple secret affairs struck a chord because they played into the long-standing perception that their marriage was one of fragile appearances rather than genuine partnership. Hostin emphasized that such personal fractures did not remain isolated. They inevitably bled into the public arena. The image of a president suspected of betraying his spouse became a metaphor for a president suspected of betraying his citizens through broken promises and misguided policies. The timing of Hostin's destruction of Trump's credibility was crucial. The administration was already under fire for its handling of key issues, ranging from economic turbulence to foreign relations missteps. Every presidential stumble magnified the impact of her commentary. She tied his failures in governance directly to character flaws, suggesting that the same impulses driving his personal recklessness were also steering the nation into disorder. It was a powerful rhetorical strategy, one that left supporters scrambling to defend him, while critics amplified her analysis as evidence of what they had feared all along. Another dimension of her takedown was the way she spoke to the broader cultural context. The United States had been through years of cultural reckoning, from movements demanding accountability for powerful men to increasing calls for integrity and leadership. Against this backdrop, Trump's alleged affairs seemed not just salacious but symbolic of outdated patterns of male entitlement and disregard for women. Hostin tapped into that energy by framing the accusations as part of a larger problem, a leader unwilling to respect boundaries, to honor commitments, or to recognize the dignity of those closest to him. This lens widened her critique, making it resonate not just politically but socially, across communities concerned about values and representation. Hostin also drew attention to the implications for international relations. In a world where optics matter as much as substance, the image of a president embroiled in personal scandals weakened America's standing. Foreign leaders look for consistency, stability, and reliability in their counterparts. When those qualities are undercut by personal chaos, negotiations and alliances become more difficult. Hostin's dismantling of Trump's persona pointed out that the world stage was not forgiving of leaders perceived as erratic or distracted, and that the affairs, whether true or not, contributed to an aura of unreliability that damaged U.S. influence abroad. At home, her words struck at the heart of the ongoing national debate about morality in politics. Americans have long wrestled with the question of whether personal character should weigh as heavily as policy when judging leaders. Hostin's critique suggested that the two were inseparable. A president's private actions were not compartmentalized. They were a reflection of judgment, priorities, and respect for the institutions he represented. In her view, the secret affairs were not a side story, but a central piece of understanding Trump's leadership style, a style marked by secrecy, impulse, and disregard for consequence. The emotional impact of Hostin's takedown came from her ability to make the story feel both personal and collective. She framed Melania's plight not simply as one woman's struggle, but as a representation of what happens when loyalty is betrayed at the highest levels. Just as a spouse might feel abandoned, so too did many Americans feel abandoned by the president they had entrusted with leadership. The allegory was clear. Betrayal in marriage mirrored betrayal in governance, and both left deep scars. In the media ecosystem, her remarks created ripples that magnified their significance. Talk shows, opinion columns, and digital platforms dissected her takedown, often replaying or paraphrasing her points with added commentary. The attention fed into the narrative that Trump's second presidency was already spiraling out of control, just months after beginning. Hostin became a voice articulating what many felt but struggled to express, a synthesis of outrage, disappointment, and urgency. By attacking not only the policies but the man behind them, she ensured the conversation could not be dismissed as purely partisan critique. Trump's first few months back in office were supposed to be a period of consolidation, yet Hostin's dismantling ensured they would be remembered as a period of exposure. Her words peeled back the veneer of strength he projected and revealed vulnerabilities that his opponents seized upon. The accusations of secret affairs acted as accelerants in this process, reinforcing the image of a leader whose commitments, whether to his family, his allies, or his citizens, were unstable at best. The implications of Hostin's intervention extended beyond Trump himself. They spoke to the future of political discourse, the role of media figures in shaping narratives, and the public's appetite for accountability. In taking down a sitting president so forcefully, she demonstrated the enduring power of commentary in the modern era, where a single voice can influence the national conversation. Her analysis was not just about one man, but about the standards to which leaders must be held and the consequences when they fall short. For Trump, the challenge was not just the policies left unfulfilled or the battles lost in Congress, but the perception that he was a leader distracted and compromised by his own personal choices. Hostin sharpened that perception into a weapon, leaving little room for ambiguity. Her words carried weight because they tapped into the deeper anxieties of a nation weary of scandal and hungry for stability. By exposing the cracks in both his public and private life, she left an indelible mark on the narrative of his second presidency's beginning. The energy of her critique lay in its comprehensiveness. She did not focus solely on the salacious aspects of the affairs or solely on the missteps in governance, but on the interplay between the two. The president's inability to manage his personal life responsibly became, in her framing, symbolic of his inability to manage the country responsibly. This alignment of personal and political failures made her dismantling feel complete, leaving her audience with a sense that the problems were not temporary or isolated but systemic and deeply ingrained. Even without predicting what would come next, Hostin's commentary crystallized a moment in time, the early months of a second Trump presidency, already burdened by controversy, disillusionment, and scandal. A leader unable to inspire trust at home or abroad, a marriage shadowed by betrayal, and a nation caught once again in the turbulence of an administration defined by chaos. In exposing these realities, Hostin not only destroyed Trump's image in the immediate moment, but also framed the narrative that would follow him for the remainder of his tenure. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Sunny Hostin calling out Trump's alleged affairs? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.